started. They protected me. Took better care of me than humans would have.
They're not people, Maya. It's just programming.
10 years ago today, the artificial intelligence created to protect us detonated a nuclear warhead in Los Angeles. This is a fight for our very existence.
Sergeant Taylor, we are this close to winning the war. But the AI are developing a super weapon. Retrieve it. Or they win.
Did you locate the weapon?
Yeah, it's just a kid.
Are you going to heaven?
No. You gotta be a good person to go to heaven.
So we're the same. We can't go to heaven because you're not good. And I'm not a person.
Do you have any idea what the thing is?
She looks like a little girl now, but she's growing. Whoever has that kid wins the war.
Whose side you want, huh?
What do you want, sweetie?
For robots to be free.
Oh, we don't have that in the fridge. How about ice cream?
Good morning. My name is Paul Brett, and I've been invited along here today to speak about AI in film marketing. Yeah? So those of you who are wearing headphones will be able to hear me now. Today is an interesting anniversary for me personally, because exactly 30 years ago, I was sat in a coffee shop in Charlotte Street, and I listened to a presentation by a young American technician. And we sat there and waited for 45 minutes to download a 30-second trailer for a film called Stargate. And I was lucky enough to be in charge of the release of this film worldwide. And after 45 minutes, of which I spent mainly joking with the technician about sometime in the future we'll be laughing about these download speeds, I paid him to put this trailer onto the interwebs. And it became the first time that someone had put film content onto the internet for people to access, 4 years before the launch of Google. The film Stargate was predicted by the magazine Variety to be a complete disaster. Nothing would stop the flow of red ink that would emanate from this film. And instead it turned into a billion-dollar empire and became the most successful science fiction film released that year. Today, 30 years on, this film that I just showed you the trailer for, The Creator, is being released by Walt Disney. It was commissioned by 20th Century Fox, that are now owned by Disney, and is being released worldwide today and tomorrow. And the more things change, the more they stay the same. When I was in charge of releasing the film Stargate 30 years ago, the way media was spent was down to a fairly basic rule of thumb. 1/3 outdoor, 1/3 indoor, and 1/3 PR and publicity. And now it stays pretty much the same. all of Disney's marketing to make you aware of the film The Creator is being spent online. It's all entirely digital. But as they say in the trade, the awareness of the film is soft. How many of you are aware of the film The Creator, and how many of you are intending to see it in the cinema? I can heartily endorse it, and I recommend that you go. But the problem with all film marketing has been, for 125 years, to raise awareness. Essentially, you have 1 week to make you, the audience, aware of it and intending to go. And once that opening weekend audience sees a film, it entirely relies on word of mouth. The Creator is a brilliant film, and when you come out of it, you will be urging your friends to go and see it, because it's 2 hours of wonderful effects and emotion and a really good storyline about the rise of AI. And just like another film that I worked on 30 years ago, Terminator 2, it is about the war between mankind and artificial intelligence, or the robots. Nowadays, in order to raise that awareness, still Disney, despite all the digital marketing and using all social media available, they still rely on a one-page ad that you can find free of charge on your ride home on the underground, because it needs to cut through the clutter. There is so much out there for you to be aware of. And the film's subject matter touches about the future of mankind and how we are going to interact with artificial intelligence. And it is exceptionally poignant that this film is being released this week, where the most bitter and the most prolonged strike in Hollywood history has come to an end. And the main subject of that strike is still in contention. It has not been resolved, and that is the rise of artificial intelligence. I personally believe that, first of all, AI is unstoppable. As every single stand here today will tell you, AI is here, AI is going to change everything. However, of the United Kingdom workforce, everyone between the age of 16 and 65, only 19% believe it will have an impact on their own jobs. That seems to be strangely naive, that in their lifetimes there will be no impact and no change in what is going on. What the strike in Hollywood has been about is the idea that AI is going to replace creativity. And what I would like to project forward is to say that AI and everything that every single person in this exhibition space is about is that AI is here to enhance creativity. And that what we will find is that if you, as a creative person, do not learn to use AI creatively and learn to use it as if you were going to be replaced, then you will be replaced. It is going to be a question of learning to work with it. And I have been lucky enough to live in a time of incredible technological upheaval. And when I was a child, still at school, I used to watch a television program called Tomorrow's World. And I learnt from that about future advancements, things like the video phone or magnetic trains that would go at hyperspeed to connect me, and I've been able to ride those things. But the single most important presentation that I ever saw on Tomorrow's World was by a band called Kraftwerk. And Kraftwerk introduced the idea of synthesizers to rock and roll. And if anyone had the time, I can bore for England about the fact that they are the most important rock band of all time, that they have influenced more music and brought more entertainment to more people globally than even the Beatles. However, within 5 years, of Kraftwerk releasing not their first, but their most important work, the album and single Autobahn, that the musicians' union went on strike in order to ban the use of synthesizers. It was widely believed in 1978 that synthesized music would replace musicians, and that musicians would have no future. This is precisely what has been going on in this terribly acrimonious dispute that's been happening in Hollywood, but has had ramifications here in the United Kingdom. As we speak today, 75% of all people who work in the film and television industries are out of work. There is no job. The studios, Pinewood and Shepperton, are dormant. There is nothing going on because the impact of what goes on in Hollywood is so great, and means that if they sneeze, we catch a cold. However, over a very long weekend, there was agreement made between the Hollywood studios and the guilds and unions that meant that everyone could go back to work today, and that there is optimism for the future, because in broad brushstrokes it has been agreed that artificial intelligence will not be used in order to write scripts. We will still need scriptwriters in order to generate the films and television programs that we are watching today. The devil will be in the detail, because all of us are using AI in everything we do on every day, whether it's spell check or generating ideas that we can work with. When I was at university, I studied an incipient new course that was called Management Studies. It was also known as Business Administration, and that at that I was able to make presentations and study international marketing and look about the rise of data across the world. One of the things that I did for my dissertation was to do a presentation on the tarot card, because I suggested that by using tarot cards, we could actually enhance business decisions. By doing a reading on the tarot card, I could suggest that it was using such strong visual imagery that it would bring you out of yourself and look at a problem that you were stuck with in order to break a cycle of reflection and immobility and procrastination, to look at a new and fresh way of examining a problem. And that is what AI is designed to do in the new programs that are being launched as we speak. Amazon, Apple, and Google, as are widely reported, are investing billions in AI every year. And that means that the script writer is very right to be concerned about them being replaced. It's not that the next Barbie movie is going to be generated by a computer without input, but that the roles in Hollywood, and thus by extension here in the United Kingdom, are going to evolve, so that we are going to be guiding the input into the computer program as to how that script is generated. I work with colleagues in Los Angeles, New York, and London, and in Denver, Colorado, on a program called Radiate, R-A-D-I 8.ai. And in there, over the last couple of weeks, I've been fooling around with some concepts that we have come across that we are looking to generate and present. And what I've learned while examining this and preparing for today's presentation is that it is not going to replace the creativity of the writer at any time soon, but it will that I can enter into, in only 2 minutes time, I can enter in a concept for a project. And so it's one that my wife Meredith and I have been working on for some time, which is the story of MGMM. Not the film studio, but a company that was formed in 1981 by 4 people who shared those initials. David Mallet, Scott Mulaney, Russell Mulcahy, the director of Highlander, and Brian Grant. And these 4 young men in their 20s invented the pop video. What had happened was that in the 1960s, if the Rolling Stones or the Beatles did not have time to visit Australia and New Zealand, they would send a film clip of them performing over to those territories instead of having to go on a plane. So we, in London, invented the idea of the pop promo. Then, in 1981, the most popular show on television, 3 times the audience of EastEnders or Coronation Street today, was the Kenny Everett video show. And the producer was a chap named David Mallet, and he would work with the legend that was Kenny Everett to create comic television skits using the new medium of video. And the 2 guys, Brian Grant and Scott Mulaney, made a video for £2,000 in the bedroom for a single by the group M called Pop Music. And they had 45 minutes to get it across town to Teddington Studios and insert it on a U-matic tape into the program, the Kenny Everett video show. 18 million people watched it, and the next week it was at number 2 in the charts, and the music industry took notice. The following week, they got a call from New York to say, in 6 weeks' time, we are launching MTV. It's going to go 24 hours a day in Dolby Stereo, and we'll be showing pop videos and only pop videos. The trouble is, we've only got 36 of them, and 18 of them feature Rod Stewart. So Scott Mulaney got on a plane with 2 suitcases full of U-matic video cassettes and went over to New York, and thus MTV was born. And that's why all videos in the 1980s were either American hair acts, like Twisted Sister, or English bands with strange haircuts like Flock of Seagulls or the Human League. And those videos were made for about £20,000 each by 4 boys in an office in Soho. Literally sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And they made videos for Elton John, for Queen, for David Bowie, for Duran Duran. And each of those stories we think would make an excellent program. So I put this idea, explaining it roughly like that, in 2 paragraphs into the program and pressed generate. And out it came with casting suggestions, plot lengths, budgets, and so forth. And what was interesting to me about the process is that they came up with the idea of a character called Catherine that would be played by Emily Blunt. All of the casting suggestions were wildly inappropriate. For instance, Hugh Grant, Benedict Cumberbatch, Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, all 30 years older, too old to play the roles. But that's because the information that artificial intelligence is using is about what's already out there. It can't predict the trends. And when I fed this back to one of the original guys about this idea, he was overwhelmed with the presentation and was prepared to sign it off straight away. Just thought that somebody brilliant had come up with the ideas and made a pitch deck that was done in literally 120 seconds, and pointed out that I'd never mentioned the office manager, who happened to be called Catherine and was like a very severe woman, as in the role played by Emily Blunt in the film The Devil Wears Prada. It was just a very strange coincidence, or indeed was it? The catch is, in the agreement that the guilds have made now, AI cannot be used for film and television work. So over the next 3 to 5 years, the strikes that have gone on, the loss of income, the billions of dollars that have been lost in revenue by the workers in the industry will be lost again as this struggle between creativity enhancement and creativity replacement goes forward. Thank you very much indeed for listening to me without the ability to present the videos that I had wanted to show you, which I have lost connectivity. But then again, as my wife and I have been discussing on the way here, there was nothing less to be expected at a technology for marketing conference. And I'm very grateful for your indulgence in me speaking here. And I do urge you to go and see The Creator tonight. And if you get the chance to look on YouTube, you will see Gareth Edwards speaking far more eloquently than I about AI and the opportunities that it will present for the future of film and television. Thank you very much indeed.